Hey guys, thank you for coming. And we're very excited to end our week with a little concert. And we had a great week, busy week, and a lot of good things took place here. So looking forward to a very short week next week. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Looking forward to a very short week next week. I got a lot of good responses from the email on One Body, One Hope. And so if you haven't checked out that email, I sent an email out to all of you about ways to partner with One Body, One Hope. And if you're interested in that, to let me know. And I'm getting some good feedback from people. So think about that. A week from now, not next week, but the week after, we're going to do something called Spend Yourself Week for One Body, One Hope. We did that last year, where we gave up things and we reflected on what it might be like to live in Liberia for a week. So that's also coming up. Just want you guys to be aware of that. Hey, it's been 5 years since I've known Janine, and she is a great friend of Unity Christian because she keeps on finding these bands that are coming through town, and she not only lines up concerts for people in the community, but we also get a chance to see them free, pretty much, before they do their shows. And tonight, this place will be full again for another show. And so I just want to introduce you again to Janine, and let's give her a welcome and a round of applause.
I guess I've known Mr. Dykstra about 5 years. He's a friend of mine, too, yeah. Yeah, you guys, Janine, Orange City Arts. And, yeah, it's great to be here. Mipso, I heard Mipso last year, and I thought they were great. And here they are, #1 on the Billboard chart for bluegrass, #20 for folk, and they're in the top 25 for heat seekers. So somebody like me, of course, has to ask what that means. It means new and emerging bands. So they're hot, and you guys can tell people you've seen them here first. Just like, okay, they're cool, hot, cold. Just like Levant Denor, remember, the group from Quebec? Somebody from Dort was back home in Canada, and his friends were going, what? You saw Levant Denor where? In Orange City? So, just saying. You'll be able to say that about Mipso. Also, by the way, tonight here, come back, bring your friends. Get your tickets from the Dove if you want the bargain rate before it closes today. And make sure Wood shows you his very special string bass. Now I'm introducing Wood, Jacob, Joseph, and Libby from North Carolina, from Mipso. Help me welcome them.
Thank you, Janine. Thank you, Principal Dykstra, wherever you are out there. There he is. Thanks, Janine, particularly for saying that we're hot. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll start with some music. Like 22 years I've been looking for a fight. Never stayed in school for long, couldn't keep my patience on. Never had the motivation quite to get my timing right. I want my story to begin. There's a time to save up and a time to spend. I'm too young for the past tense, all this worrying about what might have been. Should have been a preacher man, let the book show me where to stand in the earthly halfway home. Should have been a farming man, teach my boy to plow the land. Now leave this wicked winter just a couple acres greener. I've never been so thirsty to get my soul right. But like a summer bug, I've been burned by the blinding light. Never stayed in church for long, popped the pews in my folks' song. Sunday morning never was as real as Friday night. I want to celebrate my sins. There's a time to save up and a time to spend. I'm too young for the past tense. All this worrying about what might have been. Should have been a preacher man. Let the good book show me where to stand in the earthly halfway home. You'd have been a farming man. Teach my boy to plow the land. Leave this wicked winter just a couple acres greener. And I won't be there to see it up on Calvary calling me. I know they'll say should have been a preacher man. Let the good book show me where to stand in this earthly halfway home. Should have been a farming man. Teach my boy to plow the land to leave this wicked winter just a couple acres greener. Should have been a preacher man. Let the good book show me where to stand in the earthly halfway home. Should have been a farming man. Teach my boy to plow the land. Leave this wicked winter just a couple acres greener when I go. Thanks, y'all. Well, we're Mipso from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. We've been in Iowa for about the last week. It's our first time being in this corner of it. It's been nice to get to know some cool new towns. Thanks for joining us today. We just put out a new record, Janine was telling you, and we're going to play one of those songs next. This is one that Libby wrote. It's called Down in the Water.
And I'm Libby.
Woo, woo!
Thanks, guys.
1, 2, 3.
Keep my mind down in the water where I bathe and let it steep my mind down in the water. Keep my mind down in the water where I bathe and let it steep my mind down in the water. I have been a fool for shame, like a sunburned lover of the far away. When you come home waving all your tourist claims, Cape Falls where you would go. Keep my mind down in the ocean where I played, and keep it down deep in time, down in the water. Keep my mind down in the water where I bathe, and let it steep my mind down in the water. Draw my eye to center stage, to the little ghost who wears my name, and keep it there until the white lights fade, blue and red and back again. Like a cow the bottom. Keep my mind down in the water where I've been. Keep my mind down in the water. Keep my mind down in the water where I've been. Keep my mind down in the water. Thank you, thank you. Well, you've heard that we're called Mipso, and we're from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I can't remember what else we've said about ourselves so far, but we met in college at UNC Chapel Hill. Perhaps you're familiar with our sports teams. There's some good ones, so I'm told. We met when we were just freshmen in college, and we were just friends who kind of knew how to play instruments. And then we started playing concerts together while we were still in school, and it started to get serious. And when the boys graduated in 2013, they started doing it full-time. So this is our full-time job, and we play close to 200 shows a year, so we're basically on the road all the time. We travel in a Honda Odyssey silver minivan. So it's very glamorous and really cool and really hot.
We would encourage, I imagine some of you might be approaching driving age. Maybe some of you are already driving. If you're looking for a great first vehicle, we strongly recommend the minivan if you want to be perceived as cool. It's done wonders for us. But yeah, we travel all over the country. This year we'll play in close to 40 states. We've toured Japan and China as well. And a big part of what we do is share our music and connect with new communities. So we're really happy to be doing that with you today. Joseph, you want to tell them a little bit about where our music comes from?
Yeah, man. So we told you we're from North Carolina, and a lot of the music that we, let's say, draw inspiration from comes from right in that same part of the country. You guys have heard of bluegrass before, I guess, right? Right. Does anything come to mind when you hear the word bluegrass? What does it make you think of? I need most of you to be quieter or a few of you to be louder for the...
Blue and grass.
It is a compound word. That's very astute, made up of the words blue and grass. Thank you, young man. Yeah, no, it makes you think of the South, probably. It makes you think of the rural parts of the South. A lot of it also comes from the Appalachian Mountains. Also, the states of Kentucky and Virginia and Tennessee play a big role in where the music comes from. But obviously, we don't live out on a farm in the middle of North Carolina. We grew up we're from a college town, and we grew up in cities. So I think a lot of what we do is take music that's about 100 years old and kind of translate it to what makes sense to us. So we can get more into that, and we will explain to you a little bit more about what bluegrass is. But I think first we'll play one of ours that is more traditional sounding, although we wrote it just last year. So this is a new song that sounds kind of old. It's called Father's House. 1, 2, 3.
I walked here alone, found my own way, carried my burden through the crooked and straight. I have come to the garden and stepped through the stream that no one can cross over me. So don't make me wait to go to my Father's house. There's a light on the porch and it's cold out. If I wait to go to my Father's house, I don't know when I'll make it home. I have counted my battles, measure my war, dreaming of a mansion with fireproof floors. I have come to the river, dip my head and shiver, and melt at the end of the day. So don't make me wait to go to my father's house. There's a light on the porch when it's cold out. If I wait to go to my father's house, I don't know when I'll make it home. In the end, I'll look back on the days I was traveling alone, traveling alone. Don't make me wait to go to my father's house. There's a light on the porch and it's cold out. If I wait to go to my father's house, I don't know when I'll, I don't know when I'll, I don't know when I'll make it home.
Thank you. How old is everybody? What grades are we in? Ninth? 9th to 12th? Okay. Cool. We were in those grades once. Well, we're all 24, 25, and 26. And when we were your age, we weren't playing that much music. We definitely weren't playing it like this in a band, writing our own stuff. It's been kind of a progression. And like Joe said, we do pull, some of our foundation, I guess, comes from traditional music, but we were just as influenced by the pop stuff we were hearing on the radio, and that's been important to us as well. But we thought we should maybe show you, bluegrass is a unique genre, and that it was formed at a specific time in the 1940s in a couple key states in the South. And it's got some distinct pieces to it. Each instrument, each musician plays a unique role, and together these ingredients come to be, and they make a song full. And we wanted to kind of highlight that by playing you an older bluegrass tune. This is a traditional number called Going Down That Lonesome Road. Yeah. We want to show you what each of these instruments does. We'll start out with the bass.
Let's play it first and then deconstruct it.
Okay, sure. Lonesome road, find my fate or victory. I God must help us there to win. I'm coming back, but I don't know when. I'm coming back, but I don't know when.
All right, that was just a piece of the song, but that gives you an idea. Thank you. That one kind of sounds old, doesn't it? Well, what that really was the typical bluegrass rhythm, and it mostly has to do with the individual roles that the bass and the mandolin do together. So we'll let Wood start you off and show you what he was doing.
Hello, everyone.
This is Wood.
My name is Wood. Pleasure to meet you all. Yes, there it is. I'm great. Thank you all. It's so good to be here, guys. So the guy that's kind of commonly known as the godfather of bluegrass is a guy by the name of Bill Monroe. I'll get to you later. And what he did was he figured out that there's a sound that a drum kit can make in 4/4 music that can be replicated by two instruments, the bass and the mandolin. So you think of a drum kit in 4/4, you might think of which can be created by the bass and the mandolin. The bass is hitting on beats 1 and 3, and the mandolin on 2 and 4. So we'll start by reconstructing that song using those parts, starting with the bass on 1 and 3. So it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the mandolin comes in on beats 2 and 4. And then the guitar comes in, fills everything else out. Then the violin comes in, the fiddle comes in with the melody. Then the vocals come in.
I'm going down that lonesome road to find my fate or victory.
All right. Another important part of bluegrass music is that not just one person's normally singing. Usually there's some harmonies stacked on top of each other. So we'll give you an idea of what those harmonies sound like. Jacob's gonna hop on. 1, 2.
I'm going down that lonesome road to find my fate or victory.
Okay, here's a third harmony part that Libby will join.
I'm going down that lonesome road to find my fate or victory.
And finally we got wood on the bass part. 1, 2.
I'm going down that lonesome road to find my fate or victory. God must help us there to win. I'm coming back, but I don't know when.
There we go. How about a round of applause for Wood holding down the bass back here?
Woo, woo, woo. So that's bluegrass music.
That's all you need to know.
Now you know. Yeah, it happened in the 1940s, and though now, well, a lot of people think of bluegrass, I think, as being a lot older than that. Really, 70 years old isn't that long for a genre to have existed. And now I think when you think about bluegrass, it does sound old and traditional and maybe behind the times. It doesn't have an electronic beat that we might hear on the radio that drives some of the pop music. But at the time it was created, it was the coolest thing happening. This is before rock and roll, before any amplified instruments. And bluegrass was loud and fast and in your face. The first time it really came together was at the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. And you can listen to a recording of it, and when there's kind of a moment where the banjo, which we don't have here, as you may have picked up on, comes in and it's playing this almost polyrhythmic melody in between the different parts that you saw with us four, and people in the audience are freaking out. They're like screaming and clapping wildly.
They made them play that same song 4 times in a row. Like they got 4 standing ovations and had to keep coming back on stage because people thought it was so cool and new. Now it sounds old. Sorry.
Yeah. But we want to play another one of our songs in a minute, but we thought first we'd maybe take some questions if anybody has anything for us about how we started playing together, what life traveling is like, how maybe a new record comes together, a new song. If you have something that you'd like to know about, we'd be happy to chat.
Back there?
That's a great question. All of us know how to read music, but normally the way that we put our music together is just by getting together in the same place and working it out by ear until it sounds good together. I think all of us started learning music outside of the sort of bluegrass tradition. So a lot of us took music lessons when we were younger and did classical and did jazz or something like that. So we understand what it's like to write music out, and I think that's helped us a lot, even though we don't always write our own music out. Good question. Who's next?
I don't think there's a standard answer to that. The writing process for us usually looks like one of the people up here writes something, some lyrics and a chord structure, like alone in their own bedroom. And then we get together and practice, and we listen to the songs and see if we can hear parts on our own instruments that will fit into that song, and we arrange communally. And we mostly write songs when we're getting ready to go into the studio to record. So we just had a recording that came out, an album that came out about a month ago, and we recorded that in December of this past year. So we got together in late November and started playing around with 10 or 11 new songs, and then those went onto the record. And since then we've been focusing on those. It's kind of a funny thing because you write the songs years before they're heard sometimes, and you record them. We had this recording finished almost a year before we released it. So we're going around playing these songs and saying, like, here's our brand new album and our brand new songs, but to us they're kind of old. So we're already feeling hungry to start on some new stuff. So probably be doing that soon. But as a personal question about songwriting, for me, I think sometimes a song comes to me immediately and I have like the full idea of it in a day or so. Sometimes I have one little snippet of an idea and then it's just like floating around in my mind for months. So it can really depend. And these guys probably all have different experiences with that too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got a mandolin when I was about 14, but didn't really take it seriously until I was 18 or so. I was kind of playing it as if it was a guitar. It was just a vehicle for me for writing songs on. Didn't dig into its role and its uniqueness until I was around 18.
I started playing guitar in middle school, and I was aware of and heard a lot of like old bluegrass stuff because some of my family members were into it, but really I played electric guitar for like 8 years before I went back to acoustic. Thought that was much more fun. I still think it's fun. Would?
I started playing bass to some capacity when I was about 11. Picked up electric bass and then picked up double bass a little bit later for big band and swing stuff and jazz.
And I started playing violin when I was 6, doing like Suzuki violin lessons, and started doing the fiddle. I hear a lot of whispering Suzuki. Do we have some Suzuki people in here? Nice. Well, that's good training. That's ear training. So even if you didn't grow up doing any kind of traditional music, a lot of the traditional music is based on the same premise that you learn best when you learn with your ears and when it's like less of an intellectual process. So that Suzuki training, even though I went on to read sheet music and do orchestra and do lots of classical stuff, I think that served me well when I started doing the bluegrassy or old-time stuff, which was not until college.
What were our majors? Yeah, great question. In college, I majored in religious studies and anthropology with a minor in music. But it wasn't a religiously affiliated school, so it wasn't like a seminary religious degree. It was more like religious history. And all three of the other ones also had majors.
I did an interdisciplinary major, which I highly recommend if you can't make up your mind about anything, which is how I am. And I just got to take classes from a bunch of different departments and make a case to the university that they were related in some way.
And I studied geography and international studies.
And I was environmental science and geology with a minor in music.
Maybe one more? Oh yeah, blue sweatshirt. None of us are married. I imagine
Good point.
that the second half of your question was a good answer to the first half.
I think it is an interesting thing. None of us planned to be touring musicians when we were growing up or even when we were in college. And it's something that you don't think about. Being on the road all the time is definitely a unique lifestyle. And you hear about a lot of bands who sort of gradually dissolve or at least back way off the touring once they have dependents. So it's something to think about for sure. It's something that I never really thought about because I didn't picture myself as a musician touring around in a minivan. But it is difficult, and I miss my own bed, almost as if I was missing my husband.
You have a husband? It's a great question, though. We were lucky, I think, coming into school that we weren't expecting to be in a band, and we had a lot of freedom to explore it within our college community. It was a really great musical place, so we kind of learned what it meant to be individual musicians and be in a band, and how you could take that and make it a financially viable career. But it also meant that we didn't have any expectations. So for us, if any point was the peak, then we've gotten a lot out of it, and we would be really happy. But it would be a lot harder if we did have a different situation.
Let's take this one more. I saw you had your hand up, too.
It is.
Well, we can't play any songs that are any cooler than the fact that Wood's named Wood. So, but we'll try. Yeah, sure. Cool. We'll play another song.
We should. If you have any more questions about Wood, the three of us would be happy to answer them. So just keep thinking. Yeah, we'll have to take a little pause.
This is a song you might recognize, and it'll give you an idea of how we can change around what the words and the melody of a song are that you think you know, and make it sound a little bit more like something we would sing.
Our tails get tangled.
I got my eyes on you. You're everything that I see. I want your heart, love, and emotion endlessly. I can't get over you. You left your mark on me. I want your heart, love, and emotion endlessly. 'Cause you're a good girl and you know it. You act so different around me. Yeah, you're a good girl and you know it. I know exactly who you could be. Just hold on, we're going home. Going home. Just hold on, we're going home. It's hard to do these things alone. Just hold on, we're going home. Like I want you. Do you wonder if I sleep alone tonight? I woke up early yesterday morning. I woke up with you still on my mind. Who am I to be your angel? Who am I if not your friend? Who am I if I'm all alone? Wake me up if I'm dreaming again. Do you need me like I need you? Do you know how it feels to be this low? I'm sorry, how I'm sorry. I've learned just how little that I know. your friend? Who am I if I'm all alone? Wake me up if I'm dreaming again. Do you thank God like I thank God? Do you thank Him for the place He's taught us to a new place? Well, I have awoken. Everything I know of love I learned from you. Who am I to be your angel? Who am I if not your friend? Who am I if I'm all alone? Wake me up if I'm dreaming again. Wake me up if I'm dreaming again. Do you want me like I want you? Do you think about me still lying by your side? I wake up often, still in morning. I know how I felt much more alive. And who am I to be your angel? And who am I if not your friend? And who am I if I'm all alone? Wake me up if I'm dreaming, wake me up. When I'm dreaming, wake me up if I'm dreaming again.
Thank you very much. How about a nice round of applause for Mr. Jacob Sharp playing the mandolin? That was great. We'll do another one from our the recent album we've been telling you about. I think this one will give you an idea of a little bit more of the variety of stuff. You asked about songwriting, a little bit more of the variety of stuff that we write about. From love songs to story songs where interesting things happen. This next song is kind of in the Halloween spirit, although we've passed Halloween. This song's about when you might be hanging out in New York City in Central Park and you find yourself haunted and chased through Central Park by the ghost of Abraham Lincoln. See, that's not what you thought I was going to say, see? I think it's a good time to say, too, that, we're not a bluegrass band in a strict sense. We're not the exact formula of we don't have a banjo. We don't play old bluegrass songs, although we do draw a lot from the bluegrass tradition. But we draw from other stuff, too, and another kind of traditional music that comes from our part of the country is called old time, or it's referred to as old time now. And it was emerging in the early part of the 20th century, and it was basically a fiddle-based music, fiddle and banjo. And this song, I think, has a lot more to do with old time than it has to do with bluegrass. Bluegrass is a music where usually in one 4-minute song, every instrument at some point steps up and does like a fancy kind of like solo part. So it's like jazz in that way, that bluegrass is made to show off instrumental skill. Old time takes a lot of instrumental skill, but it's more based around a single melody that's repeated a lot that involves everybody in the group. So think about that. It's what Libby is mostly going to be doing, and I'll do it along with her. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
all started when I kissed you. You smiled because you knew there was something set in motion that only currency can move. You led me to an empty bench inside a public park. You made me wait and watch my watch and watch the sky go dark. I looked around and got nervous. I heard a crying crow. Then a tiny circle rolled our way and settled in the snow. You pointed at that penny and it pointed back at you. And our great emancipator told yours truly what to do. He said, we've all got money, we've all got time. Let's sell the house, sell the car, sell the deed to the copper mine. Make beat the rock of ages is just another stone. The tomb is empty, children, leave this living world alone. I grabbed your hand and hurried, knew we didn't have much time. We left the trail and ran like hell to make it out alive. We scurried under bushes like a few miles from a snake. I felt a tug upon my shirt sleeve from a beggar at the gate. And he said, can you spare a nickel, son? I'm down to my last two. I said that I was done with change, so $1 would have to do. But when first I touched my wallet, and I realized my mistake, and our great emancipator's big green head began to shake. Said, I'll see you a penny, I'll raise you 99. Seems all your gods and prophets never reached the welfare line. Maybe the rock of ages is just another stone. The tomb is empty, children, leave this living world alone. Leave this living world alone. I tossed away that greenback, that beggar man just laughed. Hailed a speeding taxi cab before it hurried past. He asked me where to, mister, up to 6th and 53rd. And I looked at you and you looked at me and we didn't speak a word. There was silence in the city as we passed under the moon. That taxi man started whistling some old antebellum tune. And he turned around to face us neath the lights of Broadway. That tall man in a top hat said, there's something I've got to say. Said, I don't want your money, just a minute of your time. You can sell your house, sell your kids, sell your soul to the big line. Make beat the rock of ages is just another stone. The tomb is empty, children, leave this living world alone. Awesome, y'all. Well, we got time for one more. Thanks again for joining us. There's if you want to come back or if you want to tell your folks to or something, I think there's still tickets available tonight. We'd love to see you again. Also, if you want to see funny pictures of us from the road, you can follow us on Instagram or something. We're on all those things. But it's been great to be here. If you have any questions afterwards, we'll be hanging around. Feel free to come up and say, hey, we'd love to meet you. This is another new one. It's called Eliza. Where did you go? Been wandering lonesome, Eliza. Eliza, out of that darkness, you led me back home. Where did you come from, Eliza? Blinded and cold, we been alone. Begging you, please, Eliza, don't leave. Eliza, where did you come from? Where did you go? Been wandering lonesome, Eliza. Eliza, out of that darkness, you led me back home. Where did you come from, Eliza? Blinded and cold, we been alone. Begging you, please, Eliza, don't leave. for my connection. Eliza, Eliza, Eliza. Where did you come from, Eliza? Eliza, where did you come from? Where did you go? Been wandering lonesome, Eliza. Eliza, and out of that darkness you led me back home. Thanks, y'all. Again, we're Mipso. Maybe we'll see you tonight.
Hey guys, I know a lot of you listen to a lot of different kinds of music, but I think we got our musical taste broadened a little bit today with some bluegrass. They are on your music websites. What's it called? Spotify. There you go. One more time, let's thank Mipso. All right, let's close off our great week together with a word of prayer. Let's pray with me. Lord, thank you for this gift of music that we get to enjoy. Thank you for Mipso. We pray that you would bless them in their creativity and their travel and their work together. We thank you that we could enjoy them today. We thank you for a great week of concerts and state championship qualifying volleyball games and last week cross-country state and just so many good things going on here. We look forward to what you have in store for us this weekend, Lord. I pray that you would bless us and keep us in your care. In Jesus' precious name, amen. You are dismissed.